Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another edition of No Limits. And we take no limits on the road here to beautiful Daytona Beach, Florida. The other thing that'll talk more noise will be the young professor, Matt Grafer, Scott Morganroth, the Motor City Madmouth. And if you get noise, it's because the car is behind us. Well, young professor, here we are.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
My pleasure. Enjoying it. We're going to have a lot of fun here. So anyway, let's talk a little bit about your industry a little bit. Classing up sports, entertainment events. I know your jacket reminds me of Hockey Night in Canada legend Don Cherry. My goodness, look at the jacket, look at the shoes, look at the hat. Don Cherry, the professor, here we are in Daytona Beach, Florida.
It's entertainment. You know, colorful is the way to go. It's all part of the show. I mean, we're running a sports product and people are here to see baseball, but that's only part of the show. It's also supposed to be family-friendly entertainment. It's minor league baseball, so we try to give a full entertainment experience. And so having someone who looks somewhat entertaining in between innings and for all that kind of stuff, I think adds to the ambiance and the experience we're going for.
Look at the bow tie. You know what, folks? I don't like ties. I don't ever wear one. And if I usually do, either my videographer / wife, Candy Emily, usually has to tie them for me. I get the clip-ons. You know, I don't like ties, but this guy's got one of the most classic ones on the planet.
You know, you got to go. It's the last game of the season for us. You got to go all out. You got to really. Our team is going to be in their tuxedo jerseys today. Usually, I don't wear a suit on our Sunday games. It's a little earlier. It's very, very hot. But you know what? It's the last game. I wanted to match the aesthetic of our players, and so here we are, ready to go.
Isn't Bruce Bowen, formerly of the San Antonio Spurs, known for the old bow tie?
He may be, but there's a lot of guys who've done it. I mean, it's a pretty old school, very classy sports announcer type look, especially for high impact games. You know, the WrestleManias and your Super Bowls. You really get all out and all up just to the nine. So why not? I just try to do that as often as I can.
Like I say, colorful is an understatement here. Anyways, young professor, we'll talk about the Daytona Tortugas, obviously minor league baseball MC. And I know you began here in May of 2021. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, this season is my first season with the team. This is the city I'm closest to. I live about 30 miles north in Palm Coast, which is kind of a nice location because I'm pretty accessible to a lot of the major cities in Florida. Orlando and Jacksonville are about 90 minutes away on either side of me. Tampa is only about 3 hours. Miami's only 4. Tallahassee's 3. So as someone who works in entertainment and sports and all of them, I can get in between them. And I've been wanting to get out here for a few years, and we didn't have that opportunity last year. I have a relationship with the GM here, Jim Jaworski. We met 11 years ago when I first moved here. I was not even a professor yet. He was just working in ticket sales for the franchise at the time, and we maintained a relationship. And as we got closer, he said they wanted to bring in somebody to fill this role, and he saw what I was doing. I was working in arena football, and it was a natural fit, and it's been a great year so far. Well, I mean, today's the last day. It's been a great year all around.
Well, give me all right, well, you brought up the professor, okay? Where did that professor come around?
So I was actually I was once young and a professor. So it's a literal name. At 25 years old, I became a college professor in exercise science of all things. So I started doing that. My real name is Matt Grafer. Matt is a pretty ordinary name, and it's not very memorable. Even here, people will be like, all right, Mike, and it's like, no, that's not it. So professor is more memorable. I started as a trivia host. That was my first real big foray in entertainment, and I knew, being a fan of wrestling, sometimes a gimmick or a nickname kind of sticks a little bit better. So I just took what I was. I was a young professor, and it just kind of was something that stuck with me, and I've continued to use it, and I'd say it's worked out pretty good.
Have you had a chance to trademark that?
I haven't. I've thought about it, but I'm probably going to be transitioning. I don't know. I know Ric Flair is still the nature boy in his 70s, but I don't know how much longer I could call myself young. So I might be switching to just the Professor Matt Grafer, and I don't know if you trademark a descriptor. So we'll see. We'll see.
All right, well, you already talked about the fact that it's a pro announcer in MMA, boxing, wrestling, a DJ and speaker. So why don't you give me more about what all those roles encompass?
It's pretty much all things entertainment. If it requires a microphone and someone to speak on behalf of an organization and represent them, it's something that I excel in. You know, I'm not somebody that's going to be able to fix your car. I'm not going to be able to be much use in the kitchen. I could probably burn Jell-O if we're being honest here. So the things that I am good at, I'm a good communicator, and I have used that as a tool to kind of get everywhere. As a teacher, it's an essential skill. and I found ways to kind of expand on it. And this has been a wonderful experience, and I get a chance to do it in so many different arenas and new opportunities coming up all the time. So whether it's DJing, trivia hosting, MMA, boxing, pro football, pro baseball, I'm even going to be starting in pro basketball here in Daytona in a couple of months, and college basketball too, just from them seeing me out here. So it's a useful skill, I'd say that for sure.
All right, you talk about a wrestling commentator, game host. Go ahead and elaborate on that.
So I've been hosting trivia for a company called Challenge Entertainment for about 6 years now. Live games, about 2 hours long, every week, as a matter of fact, for the last 6 years. I have a couple shows up in Flagler County, but I have worked here in Volusia County in the Daytona area as well. And as a commentator, so not only do I serve as ring announcer in pro wrestling, but I also sit in the commentary booth and do play. Usually I'm the play-by-play guy, and I work with others that usually provide color commentary.
Very good. Okay, well, anytime we talk about wrestling, we talk about boxing, the only name that comes to mind to me is a guy you're probably also familiar with, Michael Buffer, boxing, pro wrestling, 876. So, do you idolize him when you're talking about Michael Buffer?
I tell you what, he's kind of, I think, the standard bearer because he's a guy that is in the role that I usually serve, and he has taken that to a level where his brand is everything. He gets paid a very good amount of money just to be that, and he did it off of a phrase. And people will say all the time as an announcer, like, oh, can you say it? And I don't want him to sue me because he's got deeper pockets than I do, and I know he has that trademark. You cannot say his line the way he says it without running into some trouble. So just to maybe someday figure out what that line is for me and maybe get there. You never know. He did it as an older man, so I feel like I do have some time, and I'm getting my reps in now. So Michael Buffer, if you're ready to pass the torch, I'm ready for you.
Well, you can pass the torch to Michael Buffer. He's got a brother named Bruce Buffer. Who's actually Michael Buffer, as you know, was 70 years old. But his brother Bruce is 64. So have you had a chance to pick up anything off of Bruce?
Of course. I mean, Bruce is doing things in the UFC. He's got the jackets that are very, very colorful as well. So it's all about style. I mean, as someone that's, you want to emulate those that are doing it the right way. You don't want to copy it. And I don't do things the exact same way that he does. And so I've seen like people really try to just completely imitate it. You have to take the role and the art and make it your own. But he's certainly, again, another one of those figures that you look to in this side of the industry as someone that you look up to and that you aspire to be like and get a living the way that they do.
Okay, well, have you ever had a chance to do any ring announcing?
That's what I did. That's exactly it. Yeah, that exact role. That's it. Yeah.
Okay, just want to make sure we got clarification that that's what you were doing.
Right.
So we got a ring announcer, we got Don Cherry, we got a lot with these guys. So. All right, so you talked about Craig Sager. Everybody knows he's fancy with the jackets too, and you alluded to the fact that it's the Craig Sager night. All right, give me some Craig Sager stories, ideas, or whatever.
I don't really have any. I just know he was a well-dressed guy. He's not somebody that I really followed, but I know here in Daytona, at least years past, they have done some Craig Sager nights where they've had some shirts done up with some of his crazy colors and Tortuga style. So that comparison is another one that I've gotten a few times.
Yeah, I know that one thing about Craig Sager, though, is he had so many jackets, it's unbelievable. Do you think you could ever build up a wardrobe with that many jackets?
I mean, this is our 50th game, and I have not repeated the same outfit twice, so I think I'm on my way.
Very interesting. Okay, well, let's talk about the fact that we are at Jackie Robinson Ballpark. This is an iconic historical field. You know, you have an opportunity to be a part of history every time you walk in this place. What are your thoughts about Jackie Robinson Ballpark?
It's amazing, and there's a feeling about this place that I don't know if it's from the history, the geography, or some combination of both, but there is a vibe in this place that you can really feel. It's an intangible quality that you can read about on paper and you can talk about in conversations like this, but until you get here, until you see it, until you see that big giant Jackie Robinson statue, which is only about 50 feet from us over in this direction, you don't really realize that there's so much history here. I mean, for Jackie Robinson to break the color barrier in baseball, but it's not just baseball. He did it in all of professional sports, and it happened here where we're standing in this building that goes back to 1914 when it was built. And for him to play here when he did and be a part of that and to just live that legacy and walk the same grounds that he did, it really is an amazing, incredible experience. And it's something that we can talk to our fans about and let people know that, yeah, this might not be the newest ballpark. It might not have all the bells and whistles that some of the newer, multi-million-dollar facilities do. But those places don't have the history. They don't have the charm. They don't have the bones that this place has. And I think that's something really, really special about it.
Well, obviously, how can I do a conversation with you without talking about NASCAR. Have you ever had a chance of viewing anything with NASCAR events locally at all?
I haven't. I've gone to one. I got a chance to go a few years ago to what was then the Coke Zero 400. And last year, the high school I worked for, before I worked for them, my wife works there too. They actually had their graduation there at the Speedway. So I did get to drive our minivan, at least like 40 miles an hour on the track. And I'd say that was a pretty cool highlight, all things considered. And you never know, to have your voice over that loudspeaker, maybe one of these days, if I make a big enough splash here in Daytona, maybe that's another area we can go.
Well, everybody talks about Nashville being a area where musicians make their mark. Daytona is certainly a pretty fancy place. I liken the microphone to like a kid liking a lollipop, because you can never have enough of it, can you?
I think if you're in this line of work, no, it's one of those things. And now I kind of look at the fact that my voice bounces off the same walls as some other people. I've worked in the arena in Jacksonville on a few nights before Elton John was here and Kiss was here. And it's not the same microphone, it's not the same speakers, but that sound is bouncing off those walls. And there's something really, really cool about that. And if you're into this, I would say you always want a little bit more.
See my necklace, folks?
Look at
it's
that.
A microphone.
There it is.
You wear it.
We're gonna have to talk off camera how I can get one.
Oh yeah, I have ways of doing it. So a couple more things I want to get into really quickly, and that's this.
Probably really quickly, because we're getting the game started here, folks.
Oh, we are, folks.
This isn't just for the interview. This is for work.
This is a stretch drive here with the Motor City Mad Mouth and the Young Professor. Okay, so you have any advice how young kids can get involved in doing what you're doing?
Be alert, be hardworking, put in the time and the hours. Especially early on, the pay is not good, but it's not about that. It's about the reps, it's about the exposure and the experience. And you got to get out there. And I would say there's a lot more opportunity than people like to admit that there is out there. You just have to take it. Send emails, make good contacts, and just show up. Most people don't even want to show up anymore. So if you just show up, you're going to beat 80% of people. Then when you show up, do some quality work and keep going. Use that momentum.
And I'll leave you folks on this final note. That's this. Ted Nugent, the Motor City Madman. When I went through the trademark process, and it was a 2.5-year process, believe me, you know how hard they are to get. Thankfully, the Motor City Mad Mouth was there, and I took it. So with that said, if you can trademark and get away with it, fine. But otherwise, it's been absolutely a fantastic time with the Young Professor, Matt Pfeiffer. My name is Scott Morganroth. This is No Limits, here live from Daytona Beach, Florida. And Young Professor, thanks a lot for being a part of the broadcast. We appreciate it. God bless.
Scott, thank you so much, man. Have a good one, guys.
Thank you.